Bonjour, bonsoir, bienvenue à Touchline Talk. So tonight was my turn to do something a little bit different. Simon introduced a last couple, I believe, in Spanish. So it was my turn to do something a little bit different and speaking a bit of French. So, Simon, you had to listen to my bad French, and anyone else who's French, I do apologise if it was bad. But yeah, Simon, it's a bit of
I
a
think it
table
was good.
turner tonight. Oh, fair enough. I'll take that. But yeah, roles reversed tonight. You're talking about you.
Yeah. I have to say, the feedback from yours has been really good, and the feedback from the first episode as well. Like the journey we've started here has been fantastic. So yeah, just
No
very
pressure.
quickly, thank you to the listeners, and yeah, no pressure on me for this one though.
Yeah, like someone said, actually, definitely a massive thank you. We've been humbled so far. It's been amazing in terms of just the engagement, just the amount of subscribers. It's been something that we didn't even dream of initially. So, the numbers have been fantastic. So, thank you for your support. I will get an early one in. Just we've got some really good things lined up. Some good interviews with some real top level coaches, managers, ex players, of some different backgrounds. So, yeah, if you are interested, keep subscribing.
Yeah,
Simon,
perfect. Well,
should we? How'd
yeah,
you feel about getting started to getting grilled? Then, how'd you feel? Bit nervous or
yeah. Well, no, I think all right. I mean,
good?
to top your interview last week will be tough because
We'll see.
yours
We'll
yours
see.
went quite well. So
We'll see. No, so Simon's going to talk about his journey, but obviously the main thing for everyone is that A license in Spain and your role with Atletico de Madrid. But yeah, Simon, I'll leave it over to you, and if you give us a bit of an introduction to how you want to go about it.
yeah, so I mean, first of all, I'll just touch a little bit on kind of the starting journey, and then hopefully that can give the watchers a little bit of an understanding of where I've come from. A little bit similar to yourself. Started in schools, covering PPA lessons, and that was really in the form of Football 2000. I started doing some work in a local sports centre when I finished secondary school. Then that sort of kept progressing. Did numerous sort of courses, and then yeah, started with a private company alongside yourself, and that's sort of where we got the first taste of coaching. And that's where we
Yeah,
met.
massively.
Our friendship grew, and those initial sort of parts of our coaching journey, I think, similar to what you said in the last episode, were really key. We were involved in a really good company, and we started the journey in terms of
Yeah.
coaching.
Oh, definitely. And I think, you look back on that first experience, and those that have watched the first episode, we spoke about that journey a little bit more in depth and how Football 2000 shaped our, like the company we worked for at the time, shaped our coaching journeys for now, but also gave us those foundations and principles to work on. But yeah, from that, and I won't spend too much time on that one because even though it was a foundation of what you had, your main, I guess, jump into big, proper elite level coaching was at Colchester United, wasn't it?
Yeah, Colchester was a fantastic experience for me. Joined there after having roles with Ipswich Town and Football
Yeah.
2000. Managed to go into a full time role with Colchester United, which I was really fortunate at the time because I started in the community trust, and after having experience with development centres and elite groups, Colchester United had a vacancy one day after I joined in the academy, and I was fortunate enough to be in the right place in the right time at
Yeah.
that point, and managed to get a position with the under 13s as an assistant coach, and that was an opportunity that I hadn't foreseen at that point was gonna come up, but to join and continue that pathway in terms of community coaching, which I think is really really key to adding to our diversity, our ability to adapt. And then for me personally, to then go into academy football, and I was really young at that point, I was still early 20s,
Yeah.
was fantastic. To work at both ends of the spectrum
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
was a real challenge. It was really, really good.
How did you
I
find it
remember
jumping
starting
from?
in the
Oh no, I was just going to say actually, how did you find it jumping from like doing a PPA session in a day to going to an academy level with under 13s in the evening? Like like you said about spectrums, that's a big jump.
yeah. I think and probably you would agree with me. The environment and the people that were at Colchester United were really really good people.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
had some really really top educators, coaches, and the academy at Colchester was really forward thinking. And I think for me, that personally allowed me to make mistakes, learn about the different methodologies in terms of coaching.
yeah.
And at the time, the youth awards had just started to be rolled out and started to be developed, and that for me, I really grew into that style of coaching. But yeah, as you say, the difference between PPA sessions and going and doing academy football was high. You know, we played against some real top teams. We were category two, so we were playing teams like Brighton, Ipswich, Colchester, Arsenal, Chelsea, Norwich. We played some really top
Yeah,
academies, and
yeah,
you
that's
know
a
the
good level to be
quality
at.
that we came up against was obviously extremely high,
Yeah,
and the methodology of coaching was very much youth award, youth module style. But yeah, the difference between the PPA sessions and the academy sessions was massive, and it was really a case of being thrown in at the deep end and having to learn every session every day. Right, okay, this is what works for these groups, and the support as a new coach going into the academy, I was really fortunate. They were really supportive of me, and I would probably say, you know, to really understand that methodology and to be supported and have success, and also be supported when I didn't have success,
yeah,
for me
yeah.
was a really really big factor in terms of having that supportive environment.
I think that's a massive thing, isn't it? You know, we said in the last episode about your own development and different types of learning, and a massive point of learning can be not only your own sort of self-reflection, but that feedback and reflection process between coaches, or that famous ride home with its parents and play and children, or coach to coach, whatever it may be. That can be a bit of a game changer in terms of that feedback. So yeah, like you said a minute ago about the downsides, they're important to learn from as well as the good times sometimes. But in talking about good
Yeah,
times,
for sure.
oh sorry, yeah, massively. But talking about the good times from Colchester, you stayed there with the academy, but you had a bit of a change with the full time role, didn't you?
Yeah, so I went and did full time with the school aspect alongside obviously my academy role, but then decided that I needed to try and push myself forwards, try and take the next step, and decided that basically I wanted to go to university and further progress myself. And I'd heard lots of good feedback about the football studies degree in Southampton.
Hmm.
So I looked into the course, did my research, and the feedback and stuff from the course was excellent. Lots of people spoke very highly of the course. So basically, signed myself up for university, which at the time, I think speaking to you at the time was a big call. Obviously, I'd
Yeah,
been in America a little bit before, but moving away properly was similar to a lot of people's doubts. Was always a bit of a decision that people have to make at that point. I decided I
yeah,
was going to go for it. Started my first year at university. Didn't want to leave Colchester United at the time. I didn't want to leave academy football to come away from that sort of environment. I didn't want to do.
yeah.
So yeah, as I said to you, at the time it was a case of right. I'm going to do my first year at uni, carry on at Colchester United, and just travel in between the two. So I was leaving university on a Thursday afternoon, getting back to Colchester, coaching in the evening, coaching Friday, university work during the day, training Saturday morning, game on a Sunday, and then
Wow,
travel back
busy.
to Southampton on the Sunday after the game. So busy, really really busy,
Yeah,
but you have to make that sacrifices, and sometimes travel, as you know, when you're starting off as a coach, maybe for a private entity, you have to all these primary schools and are everywhere. Travel's sort of part of the
yeah.
of the
No,
package,
it
I
is.
guess.
I think it's one of those things. I passed my driving test at 17, but I was coaching at the time, and I remember because I had a license, I was ferrying around a lot of the young coaches as well as myself who were the same age but didn't drive, and I was like I was going from the office with all my equipment and theirs, taking people to sessions going to my own session, picking them back up, dropping
Yeah.
them at the office, and then going home. And it was like part of the journey. But like you said, it's one of those sacrifices you have to make. But yeah, in terms of uni then, so uni obviously shaped not only what you're doing now, but that first year obviously still allowed you to coach. It gave you a foundation because of the course you were studying. But the second year at uni, you changed clubs.
Yeah, so again, a massive perk of university is the people that you meet, the contacts, the network that you can build up. And we were fortunate we had the head of youth, head of academy from Fulham come in and do a presentation with us. And I managed to make contact with him during the course. Managed to go in and watch 1 or 2 sessions. That then turned into an interview. Did the interview, had success with the interview, and they offered me a position within the academy to be the under-11s assistant. That was something I couldn't turn down at the time, to work with a Premier League team in the academy. It in some senses it was closer, but because I travelled there 4 times a week, it ended up being a little bit further. But the experience at Fulham was really, really high. The standard was top. The players were really good. And I know we spoke about this a little bit before, but the standard of player between what I'd worked with before at Colchester and Fulham was another level, was an absolute another level.
Was it in terms of coaching then? Was it difficult to adjust?
It was more detailed. The level of coaching, the level of detail, the speed of play, the requirements of the academy were a step up. It was a Category 1 academy. It was, I mean, everything that Colchester had, but just that next level up. And I did find the transition challenging. It was challenging. That was probably one of the toughest, biggest learning curves that I've probably gone through in my professional career.
Right. Okay. So I suppose not the transition being difficult, but what were the difficult points of it? Was it because of the level of player? Was it because of do you think the extra travel you had was a factor in it? Do you think it was too much to balance because you're in your second year at uni? Was it just a whole package of different issues?
I think it was little bits of everything. The travel was definitely difficult. The second year of university really started to get more serious. The first year of university is a lot more relaxed. I think, as most people know, you can't really fail the first year of university. So, you just got to get past the bare minimum, and then second and third year is where that counts towards your overall degree. And the level was higher. The level of player was higher. The standard of coaching was higher. And I think all of those things really did make it really, really challenging. I really learned a lot from that year. It was challenging. Yeah, one of the most for me.
Well, the thing is, we've said about adversity and different bits that touched onto in the other episodes so far, and those good moments are fantastic, obviously. But I think arguably those down times and hard periods you go through in not just coaching but life are the ones you learn from the most, aren't they? And in terms of coaching, it's what you can do with that, and you can reflect on that to build yourself in a better way going forwards.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that, and say that year at Fulham, probably in terms of the quality and the way that I was able to deliver my work wasn't the top for me. That was probably my toughest year, the year that I really took stock and really had to reflect on what I'd learned, what I'd done, because the methodology was slightly different to what I'd had at Colchester. So I found that transition also difficult. So it was a big learning curve for me. And then following on from that, went into my third year at university and actually managed to get a position. Again, thanks to some of the contacts and connections we had at university, I managed to get a role with Bournemouth. So much closer, third year at university, and I'd managed to settle really well at Bournemouth. Joined the under-15s as assistant coach.
Good age group,
And really good age group. Again, a new challenge for me. I hadn't coached under-15s before. So Colchester, I'd worked with the under-9s for 2 years, under-11s for a year, under-13s. at Colchester, and then I did the under 11s at Fulham, and then under 15s at Bournemouth. So within the space of, what was it, six years, I'd worked with almost, all of that sort of foundation and youth pathway. So
real range.
That, I mean, a real range. Difficult in some sense because you can't really you only have time to really take stock and be able to reflect after each season. And that's probably something that I would have preferred to have done. But because of university and different things along that pathway, that didn't quite ever become a possibility. University for me was something that I wanted to tick off. Wanting to potentially go down the route of being a teacher as well.
Yeah.
And university was something that I had to do, and to be able to look back on it with some positives and some areas that I need to improve on from my time at Colchester, Fulham and Bournemouth. Actually looking back on it now, I was able to really reflect on it, take stock, think about the areas that I did well and the areas that I needed to improve on. And one of the things that actually Bournemouth gave me was their coach education, but their reflection of us as coaches. Probably for me was one of the biggest things. They would record our sessions, they would mic us up, they would look at ball rolling time, questions, how many questions, what type of questions, when those questions were posed, alongside the technical aspects of what you're coaching, the sessions, the exercises, etc. So that was a really good aspect of that journey for me in terms of academy football in England. And alongside my last year at university, it was great because that's when I started doing my dissertation and project, and all of that come actually quite nicely for me in my third year.
No, the thing is, it's funny because I remember that end of that third year, and I remember I was in Oxfordshire at the time. You were obviously finishing university, and I remember we were meeting somewhere halfway, Hertfordshire-ish, and we just went for lunch, and I just remember talking about it. We both were like, I think I said to you, or you said to me first, I'm going to Spain, I'm moving to Spain. And then I said to you, I'm going to America. And it was like the same very short window of time that we were both going different ways. But in terms of Spain, that obviously, you're there now, but you went there before and obviously had a bit of a break in the middle. But that first time in Spain, what was the thinking behind going out there initially?
Yeah, so the thinking really was, I'd come to the point of my university studies, and for me, university was a big moment. And when it was finishing, I really wanted to change a little bit of my life, change a little bit of my learning, and really push on my knowledge. And we just seen Spain dominate World Cups, Euros, games. I just fell in love with the Spanish methodology, the Spanish national team, the way that the team play. And I was thinking, okay, why not go to Spain? Like, just absolutely throw something out of
the leap.
Throw something, And I looked at different courses, looked at how I could get over there, try and make one or two connections and contacts with people here. And in the end, a couple of things happened. So I sent some letters out to clubs in England saying, look, I'm going to be in Spain within the next couple of months. Have you got something that could work for you with me being out there, as in scouting, for example? So I'd already done a little bit of scouting while I was at university with Northern Ireland, with the national team. We had someone who was on the course who had a link with the national team coach. That was something that was a great experience for me at the time to really understand scouting and to get experience with that.
Different
so that
aspects,
was something that was really good. Yeah, different aspect of the game. And then I thought, okay, if I'm going to go to Spain, I want to still keep into the football world. So I ended up getting a response from Crystal Palace. Went over and did some scouting for Crystal Palace alongside teaching English. So I'd done like a TEFL course during the summer before I went. Found a company to do TEFL with alongside my scouting. Arrived here in Madrid in 2015. September 2015. Started working in TEFL, doing my scouting. I then literally spent all of the rest of my time, all my evenings, going to different clubs, grassroots, pro clubs, and watching sessions. and obviously we have a running joke with our
I was just about to say that.
friends
Yeah.
back home. And yeah, I just took a blank notebook out with me and just observed and watched sessions, wrote, watched, and just wanted to learn, just wanted to see what the methodology was and try to better understand it. And for me, those sessions, that time that I spent out here was fantastic. Managed to build up some good relationships with Real Madrid. They had a thing called the White Week, where they would allow coaches from outside the club to come in, spend a week with the coaches, have presentations, meet other coaches, watch sessions, etc. So I done that, and then because I still obviously was living here, they allowed me to go in and watch more sessions. So I built up some relationships with some of the staff, watch more sessions, and for me to obviously I need to be careful because obviously I'm with Atleti now, so I'm not a fan of Real Madrid or anything, but I managed to go in and watch lots of the sessions, and it was really good to see the methodology there that they used.
I think if I'm right, I want to say Levante. Did you spent a bit of time watching sessions and watching games and speaking to people at Levante quite a lot, if I remember?
I did. Yeah, you're right. So Levante ended up being a club where I'd made some contacts for, I think it was LinkedIn.
Right, okay.
And one or two from here in Madrid. I'll tell you what it was. I remember now. During my time at Fulham, I kept in contact with one or two people, and then just before I went to Spain, someone from Fulham passed me on the contact details of someone at Levante.
Right.
So then I kept in touch with. I know. Almost forgot to say that actually. So then, got in contact with people at Levante, and then went and watched some sessions and built up a really, really fantastic rapport with the people at Levante. There was a couple of coaches there that were British who were doing like a gap year. They were doing gap year coaching. Both English coaches. One of them was called Dale, and the other name evades me. I'm not going to remember.
We can spend the next 20 minutes and it will come to you.
But they were fantastic with me. Our watch sessions with the first team all the way through the academy. They were fantastic with me. And I had a great time in that year, went back regular visits to Levante and really got a good understanding of what the methodology was like here in Spain. And I guess I arrived at a point where I fell in love with the country, but unfortunately I didn't have a full-time job that really allowed me to stay here and earn a good salary and probably have a view to stay here long term. So then that's when I decided to go back to England in 2016 and try and go down the route of being a qualified teacher. So I had to with the view of taking steps forward, I had to take steps back, had to come back to England and look to go down the teacher training pathway, basically.
Yeah, I remember you going back to uni, obviously wanting to train, wanting to get your PGCE and QTS qualified teacher status. And even so, you always had that aim of going back abroad, but specifically Spain again. And like you said, taking a step back to go forward. But it wasn't the only thing you did in Southampton at uni there. You also worked for the football club, didn't you?
Yeah. So I joined Southampton. I joined the community scheme, working in a secondary school. That was my first sort of experience in a secondary school position, which I wanted to do because I knew that was going to help me with my application for being a PE teacher and joining the PGCE. Then I started with the boys development centres, and a position came up. I mean, to try and join the boys academy at Southampton is notoriously difficult. And then a position came up with the girls RTC, which is kind of like the girls academy. Yeah. So I thought, okay, I've never worked in girls football before. I want to experience what it's like. Again, a different experience. For me, learning, having different experiences, like what we've spoken about before, going abroad, doing different things, is all going to benefit you as a coach. And that was something that I've always tried to take through in my journey. So I effectively spent 4 and a bit years with Southampton, 4 seasons with the girls academy. Did some stuff with the women's team, supported on some session, did some stuff with the reserve team for a season, and that was fantastic to better understand girls or women's football, to understand the differences between both the male game and the female game was experienced now, but I look back on as just invaluable.
Yeah.
And I will say just very, very quickly that we had a coach at Southampton in the girls' RTC who was phenomenal. She was absolutely phenomenal. Her name's Lois. She's now with the FA. Her standards as a coach, I would say that I got really good foundations from working at Colchester. I learned different things and reflected on things with Fulham. Took on some more coach education at Bournemouth. But as a whole package, what I learned at Southampton really took me to a different level as a coach.
Yeah. I think, you always come across someone, don't you? And we've said before about the value of people and people you work with and watch and talk to, whatever it may be in football. But though you meet someone that's really special and has a massive impact on you, and like you said, it hopefully shaped you and into what you're doing now. But so 4 years in Southampton. So you did the year of the community champion, a year as in your PGCE, and then
PGCE, and then
and then a PE teacher
2
in
years.
the school.
Yeah, 2 years as a PE teacher in Southampton in a public school there, which great experience, great to be able to teach in England.
Yep.
And then COVID started to hit.
Yep.
I guess I was at the time there where I was really, really hungry to come back to Spain. And I remember applying for the school, the job here in Spain. And the school was a new school. It was going to be a sports school. Met the CEO and the SLT in London in an interview. And you just have a feeling straight away. And I just connected with the staff, connected with the board, connected with the SLT. And I was like, this school, these people are for me. Just the relationship that we built up just in an hour's interview was fantastic. So I was like, right, this school's for me. I'm gonna get back over. And I can remember my head teacher at the time, because COVID was a problem. He kind of said to me, look, just consider whether or not going now is the right time because of COVID, etc. But I also knew that Brexit was coming up. Brexit was happening at the end of the year. So if I didn't go, I would have potentially some issues in terms of getting over. And that was the point I was a little bit lucky with, to be honest.
Yeah. So obviously you had to take that leap.
Yeah, I decided just to go for it and come out here. And again, another part of the reason why I wanted to come back to Spain was I'd applied for the UEFA A license so many times in England. I applied in Scotland, applied in Wales, and that's probably one of the biggest also supporting factors as to why I wanted to come out here, because I'd applied for so many years in England.
Yeah,
I know so many coaches have applied to get on the A license and they can't. And I've had so many messages on Twitter asking me, how have you done it? How are you doing your courses out in Spain? And I mean, as a nutshell, there's 2 ways you can get qualified here in Spain for the qualifications. Basically, one is the federation route and one is an academic route. Basically, if you take the academic route, those courses are much cheaper. You effectively can't really fail them, but they're only valid here in Spain. They're basically signed off by the Ministry of Education, and all of the clubs here in Spain recognise them. But because I don't want to close doors in the future and might move back to England or wherever in the world, the Federation UEFA A licence for me was an easy decision to wait for. However, you have to challenge that. When I arrived here in Spain in 2020, I was like, okay, the requirements to do the Federation course is a C1 in Spanish, which is basically our level of English.
Yeah. Natural, basically native tongue fluency, yeah. Okay, but that's the
effectively,
thing.
Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it adds a bit of a problem, doesn't it? But it's one of those challenges that you overcome, because that does lead us nicely to you talking about your journey back to Spain now, though, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, the journey back. looking back on some things, I kind of feel that at some point I went forward. Sometimes I've gone backwards, but ultimately it's always been with that sort of goal in mind to come back to Spain, to do
Yeah.
my A license here, and to have a different experience. And I know, like I said before, in England you have about 90 spaces for the A license if you're lucky, and there's about 800 people applying for the course. So in the end, quality of life here for me in Spain is amazing. To be able to have the possibility to do my A license here again is great, and to work with clubs here in Spain was easy for me to decide. The challenge I had in my first year was I was a bit naive, and I thought I could do my A license almost straight away when I arrived in Spain, and that wasn't the case. So I effectively just paid and spent so much time, and that's the thing that you have to do. You have to invest in yourself. You have to spend time and money in investing in yourself. And the first year I was here, that was basically what I did. I spent so much money on lessons, Spanish lessons, so much time outside of lessons, revising, homework. I had a full-time job in my school, and then in the evenings I go and watch some sessions, but then all the rest of the time was effectively just Spanish, because I needed to get to that C1 to be able to do my A license. That's one of the reasons why I come here. So it was a case of trying to balance all of that. And then got itchy feet in the second season, if you like, when I was here, and then joined a grassroots team here near my school, near where I lived, in 2021, which was a great experience. Really working grassroots football here in Spain. I'd had experience with grassroots football in England, so it was really good to see the differences and style of the football. And basically then that sort of progresses into my current role at Letty.
Yeah. So I suppose firstly, people are watching want to know, how did it happen? Because we know there are going to be people that watch out there thinking, I'd love that to be me. I'd love to be working at a club of that size, that stature, that just being that name. So from grassroots and learning Spanish a lot, but working as a PE teacher in the day, how did you end up with a role at Letty?
So effectively, and this is a funny story. So a big part of that role came because of a visit to Australia. I think me and you have both been really keen in traveling, going abroad, and I love going to explore different places. And I took a trip to Australia, was in Brisbane, and I met a Spanish coach that I'd made contact with before. Wanted to learn about what he's doing in Spain and his journey and the club, and obviously I really like Australia. And we got chatting. We kept in contact for time after my visit. He then put me in contact with a coach at Real Madrid. We then got chatting for time after that. And then in my first year here, going into my second year, I had a message randomly from a coach from Atleti saying, I've been passed on your details from Sergio. Would it be possible to have a chat with you? I was like, mad. So it's come out of the blue. I didn't apply for a job or anything. It's just
the power of networking.
Get a message saying, do you want to have an interview? And the power of networking and the power of just meeting someone the other side of the world, and this then turning into this conversation. So had an interview with Atleti, and the first question he said to me was, do you want to have this interview in English or Spanish?
Right. And what did you choose?
I was like, well, I'm in Spain. I've really got to choose Spanish. No, I don't think I could choose any other language. And did the interview in Spanish. It was broken Spanish, but I didn't really need to use any English. At that point, when I had the interview, my Spanish was okay. I'd managed to more or less defend myself well, but I was still going down that road. I could get by, but it wasn't really enough. I can remember finishing the interview, and he said to me, "Look, well done, really, really brave, really like confident, to come and do that. However, unfortunately, your level of Spanish is not quite where we need it to be. Right. So I was like, that's fine, I understand. No dramas. He said, look, keep working on your Spanish, and we'll keep in touch. Obviously, that reinvigorated me to really carry on, push on my Spanish. I mean, I was already at the top in terms of my Spanish, but you just try and find extra 5-10 minutes in the day to do little bits, and kept going. We then touched base again later that year. I went and met him in Cortorello, which is where the Madrid Federation is. Met him again, had another sort of casual chat. Nothing came out of that, nothing serious. It was just a nice chat. Then went and met him again in Alcalá, which is another venue here in Spain. And he said, look, okay, we'll keep talking, and if anything happens, then we'll let you know. And then, no word of a lie, I was on duty, playground duty at school, as you do. It was my birthday. It was my birthday, 6th of June, and had a phone call from him. And I picked up my phone. I was like, this is strange. And I just had a feeling. I was like, this is weird. This is weird. Yep. I couldn't answer it. I had students all around me. I was like, right, maybe it's Lloyd's. Lloyd's tried to learn Spanish, and he's going to try and call me. Finished my duty. Called him back, and he said, look, we'd like to offer you a position. I don't know what that position is yet. We still have some things to finalise, but we'd like you to come and join us for next season. And as birthday presents go,
I was going to say, it's pretty up there, isn't it? It's just quite high on the list.
It's quite high up on the list, and I didn't really believe it at the start. And then obviously, as you go through the next couple of weeks and months, and information comes through and stuff, then it all become a reality. And I started last year in September. Joined as an assistant with the under 12s, with an under 12s age group, and it's been incredible.
So it's just stuff dreams are made of in terms of working for a massive club. It's come off the back of not applying for it, which makes it even sweeter. I suppose the question for me would be...
Don't know how that works.
Well, yeah, but I suppose the initial question, is what's the difference between the academy football that you found in Spain so far compared to the academy football you had in England in terms of a range of levels there? I suppose that's the question for me. What's the difference between the two? What have you found as the key differences?
Yeah, I mean, first I'll just say that the people I'm working with have been fantastic with me. Really, really supportive, really good. I'm still improving my language. My level of Spanish is not at the top level yet. It's not where I'd like it to be, but I want it to be more. They're really understanding and supportive of that with me. The players have been fantastic. So it's been a really positive year from that sense. But in terms of football, I would say the biggest areas are the technical side. It's the technical side and the tactical side. Here, for me, those two aspects are right at the top. That is key for the academy, key methodology for the country, and for us as coaches to make sure that the players are always with that mentality.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting to know about the tactical side of it. I guess it's one of those things where 12s, it's a great age to sort of develop that tactical understanding and start to push on. But is it something that is, in terms of a club or a national philosophy, is it something that is worked on from very young in terms of the tactical aspects?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was here before, I did a presentation with my blank notebook. I reviewed all my sessions. I did a presentation to the academy manager at Southampton. Feedback from him and other people was very, very good. And some of my key takeaways from that was the technical side and the tactical side. And from an early age, I've seen really key technical sessions and tactical sessions with under 9s.
Right.
Under 10s, under 11s, under 12s. It is ingrained in the sessions and the style of football. Okay, it's kind of the building blocks,
Yeah.
and you can couple those aspects together where you've got the technical aspects of those sessions, but underpinning and really, really important is the tactical aspects of those sessions to come together. And I think ultimately you see that with the Spanish national team, the youth teams, and you look at all the Spanish coaches that are working in the Premier League or abroad, and I think it's really hard to disagree with that sort of that methodology and the success and the style that
it's proven to work, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously depends on the players and stuff that you have, and obviously that's another debate. But here for me, I love the style, I love the methodology, I love that the way that the coaches here work, and for me, this past year, understanding the methodology from Aleti, reviewing the methodology that I'd seen when I was here in 2015, 2016, linking that to Levante, linking that from a personal perspective from the sessions I saw at Real Madrid, from Vallecano and other clubs, for me, is just starting to pinpoint the Spanish methodology and really have a good grasp of all that. And then effectively for me next is a case of putting that together and really, I think now I've got a fairly good understanding of the methodology here, the process that the country has, but also now for obviously my current role at Aleti, and really enjoy the methodology here that the club use.
Yeah. So you've got just under 5 minutes ish going into injury time of our chat. How's the language? How's the update on the A license?
Yeah, so the language is going really, really well. I passed an exam in January to basically apply for the A license. Got on my A license once I had my exam certificate, so that was really quick. Managed to get it in just before the applications closed for the A license. So yeah, currently on the A license with the federation here in Madrid, so the Spanish Federation, which I mean has been in Spain here we say una locura. It's been crazy. My language is going really, really well. And yeah, I mean, to be able to be on my A license whilst being with Atletico de Madrid for me is the pinnacle of my career to date.
Yeah.
I really can't
100%.
I can't top that. I find it very difficult to really think what else I've done to top that, and I find it very difficult to be proud of myself. But once I got on my A license, I think now I really look back on the things that I've done, the tough decisions, the amount of time, energy and money that I put on Spanish lessons, moving abroad, because that was also very costly. To actually now get the success and to be in those positions, especially the A license, especially with the club, for me, I feel super, super pleased with.
You should be
that journey.
massively proud with that, because there's not many people that do an A license course in fully immersed in that language whilst working for one of the biggest clubs in the world. So you should be proud. So what would your top? Oh, go on. No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, like as we said before, there's different courses here in Spain, and I think so far my research tells me that I might well be one of, if not maybe the only Brit to have ever or to ever be doing the Federation UEFA A license, which I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very, very sure that is.
We'll definitely check this out.
Nailed on.
Yeah, we have to check this out now. So, what would your top to finish off? What would your top tip or top couple of tips be to coaches that want to be in a position where they can take a leap, they can go abroad, they can do whatever they want to do to push on their dreams up? How would you encapsulate that into a couple of tips?
I think I've replied to a couple of people that have messaged me this before, and I think first of all, if you're going to go abroad, the key aspect is what are you going to do full time. If you go to a country that is already speaking in English or is mostly a predominant English speaking country, you probably don't have that challenge. But if you go to a country where English isn't really widely spoken, my first question is, what are you going to do for work? Because coming to Spain, for example, to work full time in football, I don't see it. I mean, if someone can do it, then amazing. But I would say, first of all, what are you going to do as a full-time job to be able to first be out here? Could you be a teacher? I'm a teacher. That was something that I planned long ago to think about. Right, I'm going to come here and be a teacher, and now I'm having success in that. If you have a remote job, perfect. Maybe you can do it, but the opportunities that people have really depend on where you're planning to be. So first of all, really, like I said, is what are you going to do full time? And then after that, you've got to be here. Get here, go into grassroots coaching, network with people, go and meet people in those countries, wherever you want to go. If it's Australia, New Zealand, Spain, Portugal, Sweden, whatever country it is, in some of your holidays, go and visit those places like you've done, like I've done. Go to those places, meet people, physically meet them, talk to them, see and learn about what it is they're doing, and then you can explore and progress with those contacts and networks, and then try and go from there. But it's very difficult. Obviously, we're hit the end of the video, so we need to sort of revisit this at another time, because I know time is a bit against us.
We certainly will, yeah. So obviously, for everyone else that watching, listening, wherever you're coming from, we obviously have covered both of our journeys. Going forward now, we're going to cover a lot more other people's journeys, people around the world that have good names, good following. So hopefully they're of interest. But also we will be covering different things in terms of tactical content, technical content, football-related content for you. So hopefully we can keep it entertaining. Hopefully we can keep it something you want to keep watching. And if that's the case, hit that subscribe button. But for now, we're definitely into injury time.
Well, Lloyd, thank you very much. Hopefully I've managed to give the watchers and viewers something to take away from that. Hopefully we can delve into a little bit more stuff in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And please, if you've got questions, write in the comments at the bottom of this video, questions, and same for future episodes. Put your questions down. Please subscribe, like, share the page, share the channel. Put your questions at the bottom, and we will do our best to answer those in upcoming episodes.
Amazing. Cheers, Simon.
Cheers, Lloyd. Thank you very much. Adios a todos.
See you later, guys.